Hey people, Lpearly here. I'm assuming that you're clicking on this video because you have some level of interest in Valve's newest release, Deadlock. Deadlock's current reputation is something like,
"This is the greatest video game ever made, but I have no fucking idea what is going on."
This video will attempt to remedy that feeling somewhat. Although Deadlock wants you to think it is Marvel Rivals, it is actually Dota 2.5. One time, while discussing League of Legends with my friends, I dubbed it video game heroin. I think the same could be said for most MOBAs or most MMOs, but I'm willing to go a step further and dub Deadlock video game fentanyl. Even after the worst game of my life, I'm still fent folded over my keyboard about to queue again because I think I can play better the next time. The US government went after TikTok, but won't go after Valve for making a game that's so addictive you have to know a guy just to get into it.
Drop the drug! It's okay, nigga. I got the weed card. I'ma play the game, let go.
At the same time, I think Deadlock is better than a lot of other multiplayer games out there right now, so maybe playing it is a form of harm reduction, like video game methadone and not video game fentanyl. Anyways, MOBA stands for Multiplayer Online Battle Arena and refers to a genre of games that are infamously difficult to get into. In my opinion, this is because RTS games used to exist, and they also used to have single-player games that were the equivalent of tutorials for the multiplayer versions of those games, especially the mods. However, as time has gone on, RTS games have been forced out of the video game ecosystem by the invasive species known as MOBAs. MOBAs basically streamlined RTS gameplay to 80% of the population who's too stupid to micromanage 500 units. Instead of controlling an entire army, you just control one really strong guy, but you keep the focus on economy and menuing. However, unfortunately, an RTS might as well be a foreign language to anybody under the age of 20. The people who are having their 21st birthdays right now are just entirely unfamiliar with stuff like Command and Conquer and StarCraft 2.
I know Zoomers fucking love Halo Wars, but that's basically an exception to the rule here.
I think this unfamiliarity with the genre is where a lot of people hit a wall when initially trying to learn games like League of Legends and Dota 2. It's a control scheme that people just generally are not used to. However, I don't think Deadlock suffers from the same barrier of entry due to being a third-person shooter, as well as other design choices that we're going to get into later. Sorry for talking so much about League of Legends and Dota 2 in my Deadlock video, but I need to set up my thesis statement. As someone who's casually played a lot of the games that Deadlock takes inspiration from, like Dota, League, TF2, and Overwatch, I feel like I'm in sort of a unique position to talk about learning this game and getting into it, especially compared to other games that have a reputation for being openly hostile towards new players. Basically what I'm saying is, Deadlock is not that hard. /Deadlock for Dummies. Since you've made it this far in the video, I'm going to assume that you're either A, a new player looking to get into Deadlock, B, a decent player who's just consuming all the Deadlock content you possibly can, or C, you're just one of my normal subs here from my other videos. I promise that there is something in this video for all of you. In this video, I'm going to attempt to prove that Deadlock's barrier to entry is not as bad as something like another MOBA or even something like a fighting game. I'm going to try and find a middle ground between the Deadlock tutorial, which starts and stops at telling you that the mouse and keyboard controls your character, and the Deadlock YouTube tutorials, which try and give you a college course's level of information to somebody who doesn't even know that you can shoot Graves' skulls off of you. Seriously, why does a game not tell you this? I played like 100 hours before I fucking realized you could just shoot Graves' skulls off of you. I guess I'm not doing a good idea on telling you that this game is really easy to learn. Choosing your character. Okay, so the second thing you're going to want to do after figuring out that the mouse and keyboard control your character in Deadlock is to pick which character is going to be controlled by your mouse and keyboard. The game automatically starts you out as Mina Ha, and you might as well stay as her because she's kind of the best character in the game right now, but this game gets updated like every 3 weeks, so that will probably be outdated by the time this gets put on the timeline. Hey, Mina got nerfed while I was making this video, lol. Which leads me to my first point. For your first few games, you should just pick whatever character you think looks cool, or cute, or hot. One huge strength of Deadlock's roster to me is how the character designs reflect their gameplay. Unlike something like Super Smash Bros. Where the characters' playstyles don't match their designs at all, seriously, look at Mr. Game & Watch and try and figure out this character's strengths and weaknesses based off their design. Oh, what's that? You couldn't ascertain that Mr. Game & Watch is a glass cannon who relies on a strong neutral kit to keep his opponents in check? Yeah, you're fucking trash, kid. He's called Mr. Game & Watch for a reason. He games and you watch. That's your fault for not figuring that shit out. Whenever you mouse over a character in Deadlock, you'll have all these adjectives beneath their name that will give you information about how that character is generally meant to be played. Abrams is a tank, brawler, and bullheaded. This reflects not only his gameplay, which consists of slamming their carries into a wall and making them eat lead, but it also reflects Abrams' personality as a jaded detective trying to get to the bottom of what's in his tome. If reading his biography doesn't let you know that this guy can take a beating, the chiseled jawline and cigarette hanging out of his mouth will. Lash's descriptors, as well as his biography, will let you know, hey, this character is an asshole with an asshole playstyle and is played by assholes. Dynamo is a college professor who unsurprisingly has a lot of abilities that can support his teammates while also dealing damage. Damage to your bank account. Death is a form of crowd control, after all.
Fuck you, Paige.
Holiday is a police officer, so combine that with her bounce pads, and it means she has zero accountability for who she shoots in the face. You get the point. At the start of your Deadlock journey, picking a character should be entirely vibe-based, just like how the matchmaking works. Even if you pick up a couple characters that turn out to be trash, the game gets updated so frequently that I really wouldn't sweat the current affair of things while you're still trying to learn the game. Besides, you're going to be put in a playpen with all the other babies whenever you first start playing, so hero choice really doesn't matter at the beginning. They're called heroes in this game, by the way. I'm not going to be held responsible if you call them champion in-game and your teammates start flaming you for being a league refugee. So now that you've got your character picked, we're going to move on to one of the most important aspects of Deadlock, the movement. I'm not going to go over any crazy movement tech in this video because I think it really overcomplicates the learning process for new players. You don't need to be teaching people how to edge boost before they even know what items to buy. I think the only movement tech you should be practicing in your first 50 games is just to start sliding everywhere. Seriously, every time you see a slope, hit control and you'll slide down it for a quick movement boost. This won't cost you any stamina if you time it right. Think of your stamina bar in this game as your I'm a head out meter. The more stamina you conserve, the more you'll be able to head out. This game has 9,000 things to learn all at once when you first start playing, so just sticking to stuff like sliding around and wall jumping is going to put your movement leagues above the Neanderthals in your placement games.
Another super easy thing that I think everyone should do when they first start playing is called mantle boosting. It's the easiest thing in the world. You just hold control whenever you're mantling an object like this. You'll get a burst of speed that's really good to transfer into a slide or a wall jump. It seems like it wouldn't be that useful, but there's actually a ton of places around the map where you can get a speed boost out of this.
Alright, now that you've picked a character and are aware of the concept of moving them around the map, we can start to focus on items. Items in Deadlock are very interesting. In games like League of Legends, you'll be buying items like Doran's Shield and Infinity Edge. While these names do sound cool, a new player isn't really going to understand what these items do. Doran's Shield is an early game starting item that defensive champions like to take, while Infinity Edge is a late game stat stick that'll make your critical hits cause emotional damage. What, you couldn't figure that out just by looking at these icons? You fucking scrub. Most items in Deadlock are very easy to understand, either due to deliberate design choice or because the game is unfinished. What does extra regen do? Oh, it gives you extra regen. What does extra stamina do? You are not gonna fucking believe this. The game is constantly being tweaked, with items being added, adjusted, or removed, so I wouldn't really sweat item memorization as soon as you start playing because it'll come to you eventually. Valve does have default builds for the characters that will last you okay for your first few games, but I would really recommend going through these screens and picking a public build eventually. Public builds are builds that other players that are probably a lot better than you have posted online for little scrubs like you and me to copy their homework. Just for reference, the word build refers to a guide that'll tell you what items to buy and what abilities to max first. Deadlock's item system allows you to build your character into a support, tank, or a carry, however so you please, but I would really recommend sticking to more popular builds until you can learn to itemize more smarter. While you're trying to get more knowledge so you can go to college, Street Brawl is actually a great mode to figure out new characters and itemization. If you've played League of Legends, first of all, I'm sorry. Second of all, Street Brawl will be pretty familiar to you because it's basically just ARAM from that game. The biggest difference being that your items are randomized, not your champion. At the beginning of every Street Brawl round, you'll play Russian roulette to figure out what items you get.
Oh, I was at the gun club, playing Russian roulette.
Oh, did you win?
You're not really familiar with the game, are ya?
No.
Yeah, I won.
This won't exactly teach you to counter buy and what items to get at what point in the game, but it'll give you a good idea of what items already exist in the game. Some items like Warpstone and Refresher are pretty self-explanatory, but stuff like Diviner's Kevlar and Point Blank aren't exactly as clear. The smartest thing you can do when you start playing is just to read the item tooltips. Seriously, I can't recommend it enough. Please read the item tooltips. Realizing that healing right will get stopped if hurt by an enemy hero, but not jungle creeps, will put your IQ above 90% of your teammates whenever you first start playing the game. Street Brawl is overall just a really great mode for learning new heroes or just the game in general, and I'm glad Valve added a mode where I'm not locked into a 30-minute situationship every time I want to learn to play a new character against other humans. Moving on to last hitting. Last hitting in this game is really weird, but I kinda like it. For the uninitiated, last hitting is what you call it in a MOBA whenever you kill a creep and you get the gold for it. Basically, last hitting just referring to actually killing the creep so you get the gold. I'm gonna keep this really simple because 1, I'm bad at the game, and 2, this game gets updated a lot, so this information could be outdated in a few months. TLDR, if you want to maximize the amount of gold and XP that you're getting in Deadlock, you either melee the creep to kill it, or you shoot the orb that comes out of it when it dies. Money and XP are essentially the same thing in this game, both being represented by your soul count. You can check everyone's current soul count by looking at the number under their portrait, which I really love compared to other MOBAs because it gives you a very straightforward idea of what their power, what their gold count is at. To make some other League of Legends and Dota comparisons, Spirit is the equivalent to ability power, and Gun is the equivalent to attack damage. kind of. Some characters have abilities that scale with melee damage, but most don't. It's a bit difficult to make these comparisons since Deadlock has a melee system that's just completely absent from something like League or Dota. Imagine if any of the characters in that game had a melee range auto attack that they could also build into. That's Deadlock. Deadlock also features a parry system which is deceptively uncomplicated. People act like the parry system is some esoteric bullshit that's gonna take you years to learn, but I'm gonna explain it to you in like 30 seconds. Pressing F, the key to the right of the D key since nobody in my games can seem to find it. Pressing F will put you in a state where any melee hit, light or heavy, will cause your opponent to get stunned for about 3 seconds and also take increased damage from all sources. If you miss your parry, you can't parry again for 5 seconds. Parrying in this game is kind of weird because to me it's almost like a counter. You can't try and do something like a Devil May Cry or a Lies of P parry where the first few frames are when you want to press the button. In Deadlock, you want to be in the parry state when the opponent is actually hitting you. So if you're a dopamine junkie like me, you're probably going to want to parry just a tiny bit earlier than you would in a lot of those other games. A lot of people at low elo don't know that parries exist, so you can kind of get away with just pistol whipping people, but eventually you'll get to a point where people will start to punish your melees. I really wouldn't get into the habit of spamming light melee on people because a well-timed parry can absolutely get you killed at any point in the game. I also think it's worth noting that you'll get stunned for the same amount of time whether or not you parried a light melee or a heavy melee, so just something to keep in mind. Although I feel like that might get patched later, but who knows. This video will probably have outdated information by the time it releases anyways, who fucking cares. The constant updates of Deadlock are actually one reason I would advise getting into the game right now. Coming from someone who plays a competitive game that no longer gets patches, having developers that at least somewhat listen to player feedback feels like I've died and gone to heaven. Even barring that, Deadlock has a ton of new players getting into the game right now, and with rumors of a new content patch coming this summer, I think it's a great time to get into the game. Seriously, go out there and get an invite from some random or beg your friend to send you one. It's not that hard to get one. Deadlock has a solid player count already, but I'm of the opinion that it's going to get even bigger once the full release hits. So, it's a good thing you got your early investment from the Lpearly How Not to Suck Shit at Deadlock video. But like I said, I wouldn't take the game too seriously. It's still an alpha and getting patches like every 3 weeks. In this video, I'm going to end with a quote that I stole from Andrew Chicken. I mean, a quote that I definitely came up with myself. You've got to follow the 33% rule when you play games like this. 33% of games, you absolutely cannot lose. Let's say your haze goes 20-0. You have to pull an absolute 2-mad at your computer to lose that game. Another 33% of games that you play are going to be unwinnable because the 20-0 haze is on the enemy team and not your team. You're kind of fucked, buddy. And that final 33% of games is a game that you're going to have to play well to win. It's not going to be handed to you. You're actually going to have to make good decisions that are going to result in you winning. Just consider that in a MOBA, something going above 50% win rate means it's absolutely busted. Which, if you come from a fighting game background like I do, that is really funny because having a 60% win rate in a fighting game will get you roasted on Twitter for being a midwit who can barely even top 8 your local. Meanwhile, a 60% win rate in a MOBA borders on a war crime. Anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. If you liked the video, please sign my petition to have Doorman removed from the game. Check me out on other platforms if you enjoyed the video. I've been playing a ton of Deadlock on Twitch recently. Haven't been streaming as much on YouTube because YouTube gets really anal about music and I like to have song requests up. So if you guys would like to see me play this game that I just made a video about, follow me on Twitch. I'm sure you all would like to see me claw my way out of the bronze equivalent of this game. That sounds very interesting, does it not? Peep the Ko-Fi if you'd like to give me money for absolutely nothing in return. Stay frosty, you guys. Keep those lungs healthy. And see ya next time.